Hello, everyone. Welcome to another IoT session live on air here at Google Hangouts and YouTube. Today, we are going to have a chat with our affiliated partner, Bassam, who is currently in San Francisco attending the Industrial Internet Consortium Q4 2017 meeting. Hello, Bassam.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see
7
you.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. See, it's dark where you are still. It's dark where we are already. Can you quickly, perhaps Bassam, quickly introduce yourself, and then we'll jump right straight into the questions on the IIC meeting.
Yes. Well, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. My name is Bassam Knud. I'm the founder of IG Power, a company focused, a consulting firm focused on the adding to the IoT solutions the function of governance of information, of data privacy. I've been in this space of governance for over 20 years, and I was prior to that the CTO of a company in Geneva, Switzerland. So I look forward to our conversation today.
And we've both had a number of conversations in the past, which I hope to continue in the future. So I'm going straight into the content here. I mean, perhaps on the highest level, and you having been at this meeting this week already, what are the key themes that you are sensing coming out of this Industrial Internet Consortium group this time?
There is a sense for us who have been involved with that for a couple of years. There is a sense of rapid maturation of the domain. Solutions, the understanding of the manufacturers and the vendors of these solutions of what is involved in terms of building these solutions and putting them into operation. It's no longer magic of sensors and so on. It's simply sensors capturing data, and from that point onwards, it's a standard classical IT infrastructure with computing at the edge and computing at the center. So there is a overall sense of maturation and understanding of where things are going.
Okay, very good. And are there any new developments? I mean, I understand it's going towards maturity, even though I guess we're still quite a long way towards a really mature industry. But are there any sort of new themes emerging? I think maybe a year ago we were really talking about this edge component that you just mentioned. But any new things that are sort of forming the discussions?
Definitely, two elements are being added into the mix, and one of them is blockchain, and the other one is AI. More and more AI is being used in solutions that involve vision recognition of images and then taking actions on the result of the analytics so AI is slowly and surely being introduced into all these solutions. Blockchain, it's still in the early stages. People are still trying to figure out what role will blockchain play in these solutions. As you know, blockchain is called the Internet of Value. So how will that play into the solutions? I think we're still at the early stage.
Any hint at where this might lead? I know, I mean, with blockchain, we have the current Bitcoin hype, and I don't know if there were a few IoT-focused blockchains that come out. Notably, IIOT has recently published a data platform. Do you have any sense where this is going? Because the one thing that I'm currently struggling to see is the IoT companies I talked to that had looked at this blockchain technology have basically and mainly said, look, we like the technology, but we're going to leave it here for a couple of years because it's too early and too just not figured out yet.
I would agree with your statement, Knud, but I think a couple of years is too long in this industry. I think it may not take years to find a real role, a meaningful role into these solutions. People look at it today and think, well, this must play a good role in this, but people are trying to find, you have several evolutions happening at the same time. You have smart contracts, you have a number of use cases for the use of blockchain, and everybody is looking at it, but I don't think it has found its way into the solutions yet. But in this type of industry, 1 year is an eternity.
Right. I mean, but then on the other hand, I would argue we haven't actually, like, all the solutions you're starting to see are really in a trial phase right now. And
Yes.
okay, but we'll see. I mean, let's take that up in the next year then, and see where things have gone. On quick question on AI, you talked about vision being a common theme. Are you able to basically, do you have an example in mind, or do you have any specific rollouts where they were discussing AI? I guess vision is only one piece of AI, but would be interested in understanding in what sense vision and IoT, how that comes together, perhaps in an example.
Well, I mean, in an industrial context, there are the use cases I've seen is cameras being installed on machine equipment and transportation equipment, whereby you're utilizing the presence of a piece of equipment in an area and taking images, and then analyzing that, and whether it's inside a factory or in a construction site, for example, and determining preventive maintenance requirements or some other types of actions. I've seen a number of applications around that.
Okay, good. And perhaps then sort of moving on, what, generally speaking, in terms of the discussions you've seen, what are your takeaways? What are the things that for you personally were the most interesting, most insightful things you've learned?
I'm starting to see, people are starting to discuss the issue of privacy and how to deal with situations where you have the Internet of People and the Internet of Things. Whenever they intersect, there is private data, personal data being exchanged. And initially, people have confused that or mixed that with security. And they're starting to realize that this is not only security. Privacy is different from security. They're related, but they're not necessarily the same. So there is, and I can sense a deeper understanding of the problem from the European companies present at the event, as opposed to the American or the Japanese companies present at the event. So there is more awareness in the German companies and the French companies at the IIOT and here as well.
Curious to hear. So what specifically are the Europeans doing different in terms of data privacy and IoT? Is it just the awareness, or do they ask for different requirements?
There is awareness. Yeah, there is more and more awareness, and more and more. I don't know that they are at the implementation stage yet. I do not know that. Maybe the people at this conference are not the same people who are responsible for the function of the GDPR compliance within their companies. A large German manufacturer told me yesterday that they do have in every division an individual responsible for the data privacy function within the designs of the solution. So I think in these large manufacturers there is an awareness, but I'm starting. I've been feeling that, and this is a reflection, by the way, of the understanding in the market of GDPR and how fast it will go and how strict it will be. What I have sensed in Barcelona at the World Congress and what I'm sensing this week is a similar, well, we're not sure how strict it will be. We're not sure how quickly we have to ramp up and so on, but everybody is aware of it, but they're still struggling with the details and the magnitude of it and the extent of it. How how do you define those use cases where private data is involved? For example, personal data is involved,
Yeah.
because some use cases are clear-cut, some use cases are not clear-cut. And you need to start catering for these possibilities. Although the piece of medical equipment was never intended to capture patient data, for example, or capture the identity of the patient. But the fact that you're transmitting the information about a patient ID may at some point become an issue of GDPR. So people are still trying to define all these potential use cases where privacy is involved.
Got it. And so just to get an idea, how is the IIC doing this? How is this working? I mean, are these specific sessions that a number of people attend and they agree on a document, common? How do I need to think about this meeting?
Yeah, well, there are task groups within the IIC that work on various subjects, and I'm a member of one of these task groups that is actually working on the subject of privacy within the security context. So there are active discussions between the various vendors participating in this and defining the standard. You know, as you know, the IIC is fundamentally a standards body that is trying to establish standards to facilitate business. But it's not its role to clearly define how things should be done. They're simply defining standards that are suggestions for people to follow or not to follow.
Okay. And so when you think about the work that the Industrial Internet Consortium has done, which I think is widely recognized as an important organization in the overall industrial IoT, in which areas do you feel has the IIC so far made the biggest impact? And I guess how is that? I guess from a point of view of someone looking at the market like me, you have these lots of discussions like these, and then the question is a little bit, you know, how is this actually being turned into practice? And so I'm kind of curious what you think where this is having the biggest impact.
Well, I mean, the history of the IIC, the first I in IIC is industrial. So obviously the focus has been initially on the industrial aspects of IoT, the industrial solutions, the large equipment manufacturers, GE, Hitachi, Toshiba, and so on and so forth. We're starting to see more and more smart city stuff, to see some medical focus, but the main focus has been for a while the industrial applications of the IoT. And I think the contribution has been around that area, whether it's the architecture frameworks, whether it is the focus of the test beds, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you on that as well. So I've heard about a lot of these test beds. I think a lot of people in the industry are aware of what's happening in these Industrial Internet Consortium test beds. How practical are those? How I guess I'm kind of looking for proof points that how are these then brought from the test environment to the actual implementations? What do we know of how have these benefited any companies? Do you know anything about that?
I have not been involved in a testbed personally, but I can relate to that type of exercise because I've been involved in a testbed in a prior case about 15 years ago, where we were building a prototype of a new type of solution. The focus wasn't necessarily on the operational and commercial aspects of that prototype, so to speak, but more on proving that certain things can be done and what are the issues that emerge from exercising the whole solution, although it's not yet maybe production ready, but at least you are exercising a solution that includes technologies from multiple vendors, and you start when you go through that exercise, you start seeing what are the real issues, what are the practical issues involved in such a solution, what are the potential values. I mean, I think it's a useful exercise, but we should not look at it as we should not look at the test beds as, well, this is the design of the solution. It's not the design of the solution. It is a proof of concept.
Okay,
on
good.
Steroids.
Yeah, I see. Any other things from the meeting that you felt were important that you would like to add to the discussion?
No, but I'm sure next time we speak, we are going to see that there is a lot more discussions about AI and blockchain into these solutions. People are still learning about it and learning about what they can do with blockchain. I think when you look at the manufacturing supply chain and delivery chain, the utilization of blockchain into this solution and the smart contracts and so on, all of these will have implications on the IoT, I think. Because another aspect, in fact, I should have mentioned that we're noticing more and more maturity around the IT/OT integration. There is more understanding of, for the OT folks, what does IT mean? And for the IT folks, what does OT mean? And the matching and the alignment between the safety and security and cybersecurity. I'm just it's still work in progress, but I'm noticing, this is my third or fourth IIC meeting, and I'm noticing a bit more maturity in the conversation.
Yeah. Can you give me an idea of when you say maturity? Any examples or anything? What maybe it's just a feeling, but like what it is that is. Does that mean the awareness on each side is higher, or have you seen any specific implementations where people have said, look, 2 years ago, it took us 500 hours to get these two things communicating with each other. Now it's 10 hours. I don't know. Where are we on that scale?
I don't know that I can cite an example like this, but from the conversations I've had with the colleagues here at the IIC, and this is not my area of know-how and expertise, but I'm just seeing more and more discussions about from the OT people involved on the OT side, conversations that I typically hear in IT about security, about the traditional stuff that IT the IT community discusses. Yeah. Again, this is a general feeling. It's not my area of expertise.
Right, and a quick question also on AI. I guess the current holy grail in AI in a way is deep learning, reinforcement learning, the kind of higher types where computers teach themselves, if you want. Is this something you are seeing already in practice? Because I guess that's where a lot of people expect the market to go, or expect the industry to go. But I have a feeling that it is only very few individual cases.
Well, obviously, you're seeing a lot of AI in connected transportation, in trucks, in cars, and so on. And here, the learning model is companies like Audi and other manufacturers. They generate video of driving, and then they send it to specialized companies that can enrich these videos frame by frame to make them, convert them in a format that can be utilized in a learning engine. On the industrial side, I think, and I was in a conversation yesterday about that those manufacturers that accumulated so much data that they initially they never thought that this historical data would be useful for anything but compliance and maybe reporting. Now they are looking at utilizing this data as material for training AI engines. Another interesting question that was raised yesterday, and that is what are, for example, the data privacy concerns on historical data and digital twins? If the digital twin has a lot of information about the actual object, then how is the privacy controlled when it comes to the digital twin information?
So do you have an answer?
No. but this is an interesting question. And I did a quick search on the subject. It's not being discussed in the industry. I looked through Twitter, I went on Google and so on, and I'm not seeing that these digital twins, as they become more and more used, if the digital twin is about a medical piece of equipment, or it's about we have digital twins ourselves as people. How is that how's the digital privacy, data privacy handled?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, this in a way, this is the IoT platform vendors who need to think about this first and foremost, because they are the ones building these digital twins as part of their offering that they then sell to the many people that want to apply that to their factory, building, whatever. So they should be the ones having a clear answer to that, I guess.
Yeah. But again, as people get deeper and deeper into the subject of data privacy and compliance with GDPR, they are discovering that there are so many use cases that may be required to be addressed by and at least properly documented and identified and so on and so forth. That it's not really black and white. Certain things are black and white, but there are many situations where it's not black and white.
Very good. Before we go, I want to hear your opinion about blockchain. Is it going to stay around in IoT? Yes or no?
I think it will. I still have question marks about blockchain and privacy. If blockchain is a permanent record, how do you do the right to forget, for example? I don't know that anybody has an answer for that. But it will be interesting. I'm also interested in the subject of anonymization of data versus the pseudonymization of data. And maybe the pseudonymization of data will be handled through the blockchain as opposed to the anonymization.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I will try to take the other side. I believe blockchain is going to be in the discussion for another few months, maybe a year. And then we're going to not hear anything about it for 2-3 years. And then it's going to come slowly back, a couple of applications, maybe in supply chain, maybe in IoT security. I have a it is kind of the hype curve, but I have a feeling it's a very, very steep up and steep down. At least that's how but yeah, okay, very good. I think we should end our discussion here. It was very interesting, very helpful. I look forward to continuing this chat, Bassam, and I guess you have an exciting second last day today and the meeting ahead of you, right?
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Bassam. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.